welcome to Hawaii. It's going to have some great fights. Looking forward to tonight, the USO show, return of Josh Barnett, and then tomorrow the fight between Kate Jackson and McFarland. Should be a great night of two fights. At this point, let's just open it up for questions.
You guys going to make this your December home away from home? Is it going to be a regular thing, do you think?
I mean, I would personally like to grow it, and what I mean by that is, this event here, I love the fact that we have the USO fight night, free for the troops. Saturday we have Lima, and then we're on our way to Japan, as you guys know, on the 29th, the fight in Saitama Super Arena. It's our first entry into Asia, but I'd like to grow that. To me, let's have a little tour. Come here, maybe go to, even go to Guam, work our way to Tokyo, Korea, China, and then make it like a 6-fight tour within 6 weeks or 5 weeks. But that would be something we're definitely looking forward to.
So in Summer 6, I mean, is this kind of like the test run to see if you guys could pull that off on a bigger scale?
Yeah, I mean, to come here and to two big fights like this, it's a big task for the staff and the production. But everybody's loving it. Everybody's having a good time. I don't think anybody wants to leave Hawaii. But we're going to go to Japan from here, and Fedor versus Rampage. It's going to be great. Michael Chandler, MVP, and the fights between Bellator and Ryzen. I'm looking forward to it. We're going to get Sakigabara back for his fight with our guy Caldwell and Horiguchi. So that's the revenge match. We have 3 fights on our card. I think we're going to go 3-0. He feels differently. Maybe we'll bet a nice dinner on it or something.
Talk a little bit about Alima and kind of her importance to you guys as a company. I mean, she feels like at this point, she's kind of like, I mean, she's clearly the face of the company right now in terms of the women's side. But in terms of champions overall, I mean, she seems like she has such a huge draw even outside of here in Hawaii.
I mean, you know what? If you sit down and you talk to her, and you can just feel how important Hawaii is for her, and the culture and the people and the beliefs here and her studies, and it's very inspirational, honestly. And there's nothing phony about her. It's very real, and it's true to her soul. So I respect that. I appreciate that, and that's why the people connect with her, because it's real. But in saying that, we're continuing to growing our 125-pound weight class division. Don't be surprised next year if that is our tournament, our female tournament. Bit of breaking news: we just signed Liz Carmouche today. So I had a meeting with her yesterday. We sat down, we made a deal, and she signed it this morning, and we'll announce it on the broadcast today. But Liz is signed. She will be now fighting in Bellator, and I said, hey, welcome back. It's been like 10 years since she fought for us, but it's going to be another great asset to our 125-pound weight class.
Hey, how important is it to bring on some new faces in that division, kind of to keep Alima, I don't want to say keep her interested, but I mean, she's had kind of such an easy time results-wise since she's become a champion.
I mean, just all I can say is watch tonight, watch tomorrow night. There are some killers in this weight class, and you'll. I'm not kidding. These girls can fight, and so she's gonna have her hands full, but as a martial artist, she has to continue to grow and continue to improve, and get her game, 100%. All the time, and keep growing as a martial artist. That's got to be her commitment. If she does that, I think she will continue to have great success. And these other girls that that we have that we've signed, some of them are new to you guys, but let me tell you, there are some girls that are going to be world beaters. Some of them that a couple of them are fighting tomorrow night.
Everybody seems to be overlooking Kate Jackson, Scott, obviously asking the question from the other side of the pond. If Kate Jackson, as the underdog, does pull off victory, what's the prospect of having a world title fight back in the UK at some point next year?
Yeah, absolutely, because we will be having a fight, I think, in April or May in London, and that'd be a perfect place to launch it. But listen, geographically, she's not going to be bound to any particular location. She's here because it's an opportunity to fight the world champion for the belt. She's here. If she wins it, she could be fighting in the States, in California, wherever. She can fight in London. It's really going to be up to our timing, our schedule, what she would like to do, and we'll have a conversation with her.
One of the names in that mix as well, who Juliana Velasquez, has looked very powerful so far, almost unbreakable.
Yep.
Is she in the title mix for early next year as well?
Yeah, absolutely.
Should she win, of course?
Yeah, listen, like I said, this is such a compelling division. I think that, you know, don't be surprised if it ends up being our tournament. I'm not committing to that, but it's one of the divisions that is very attractive. And we have Alejandra Lara, we have, Alima, Kay, we have 2 or 3 girls from Brazil actually.
Carmouche now coming in.
Yeah, Liz coming in. I mean, it's going to be a stacked division, and we might mix it up a little bit.
Kat Zingano's even talking about potentially cutting back to the weight she fought at in 2008 to flyweight as well. So there's someone else there who's a huge name.
Yeah,
as
we
well.
haven't really talked to her about that, but if that's something she'd really like to do, then we would do it. But my thought was she would fight in the 145-pound weight class and get a couple fights and then let her go fight Cyborg.
Scott,
Or Julia Budd, whoever wins the fight on
exactly.
January 25th.
Yeah.
The forum.
Scott, the other day Josh Barnett was talking about Super Bowl days fighting here 20 years ago. Can you just talk about the importance of Bellator coming here and kind of the rich history that MMA has always had here in Hawaii?
You know what? I'll tell you, and even like I rewind it even further back, because when I think of martial arts here, I think of Teddy Lamone Sr., I think of Benny Urquidez, I think of Ed Parker, I think of all those great martial artists that were here, that fought here, that that grew their systems here. Professor Chow, who was Ed Parker's instructor, it's like, this was the melting pot, right? When people migrated from Asia, they came to Hawaii, and then they went to LA or San Francisco or Seattle, but it all came through the islands here. And so people don't realize how much history there is here for martial arts. And so to me, when I started coming here in the 90s for the 90s for kickboxing, there was a guy here by the name of Dennis Alexio that did very well, and he was very popular, and and in fact I helped matchmake on some of those fight cards, and then there was a kid named Danny Steele who fought here, and Mel Corbinor fought here. There were so many great fights here that I knew that the culture is very accepting of martial arts because of the roots. So to me, when I think about Super Bowl, that's the next phase. And TJ did a great job here. And if you think about the fighters that fought on, Frank Shamrock fought on Super Bowl. It was Robbie Lawler, I think, fought. I think
Nick Diaz has been here.
Shields fought here.
Yeah.
But I think it was a lot of guys from Monte Cox's gym at that time that fought here. And, Vitor Belfort fought here. I mean, it was like the who's who, And, TJ did a great job, and he grew it as much as he could. And now he's a movie star stuntman, and he's gone to other things. But we definitely reach out to him and have him help us here on the islands because he's so connected to everything. So, he's been a pleasure to work with, and, he's been a friend for, 30 years. So we've relied on him a lot to help us on the islands.
You've also said that it was this event last year that really kick-started your global entry with Bellator, like shifting the paradigm for a lot of your experimental plans globally.
Yeah, I mean, we had plans to expand in Europe, which we've been doing for years, and then we wanted to come to Hawaii because, like I said, this is the stepping stone to go into Asia. And so Japan was this year. Next year, you'll see another fight, another location added on, and eventually, like we've done in Europe and the UK, we basically built a separate business away from the U.S. market and self-sustaining business, and we'll do that in Asia next. We'll develop maybe a 6 or 8 fight series in Asia that Bellator will run and operate, and maybe we'll run it. I'm not sure. I got to talk to Viacom, CBS, and see where they think the offices might be, located. But that's the beauty of this relationship. Is like with Viacom and CBS, they have offices all over the world, right? So when we want to come to London, we cut a deal with David Green. We put him right in the Viacom offices, and he has access to all of that real estate. And as far as all the assets and the people and the power and the structure of the staff, so he can hop from office to office and have meetings in every department, and that's been the benefit of having this relationship and the ownership group of Viacom CBS.
Scott, staying on the Asian expansion, obviously you guys work with markets very well when you go there, and you already work with Japan organizations and their fighters, bringing them into your organization. Can we expect in 2020 perhaps more Asian signings, maybe from Korea and other countries that you teased?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's going to be part of the process. Is like the fighters that are fighting on our show on the 29th, we have options on all those guys. So if they prove that they can be, a fighter that can be a contender, be somebody entertaining, exciting, we're going to keep them, and we're going to continue to grow. But Asia will be its own separate market at one point for Bellator. The thought before was go into a city and you leave. You go into a city, you leave like other organizations do. But to me, I think that going into an area building a business out of it is something that we'd rather do.
One follow-up on that, is Korea a target for 2020? And is Korea, can you at least say, is that the next one you want to target after Japan as far as Asian market goes?
Yeah, I mean, we've had a couple offers from China, to be honest, and we're talking to some Korean companies. But listen, I was born in Seoul, right? So to me, I would love to go home and give back and be a part of that whole experience. And that's really why the USO project that we do here is so important, because you know, my father was in the import-export business, but he was in the military first. Did 2 years in Korea, stayed there for 16 years actually, and we always run the base because he was doing business on the base. And so when they had a big event, a big concert, you know, or a singing show, or you know, sometimes they had college football games there, I remember. But the whole expat community would go there, and you know, and it was just something that we always treasured because, you know, you take it for granted because I live in America, and there's always entertainment going around. But when you're living isolated a little bit, and you know, and you're basically I lived in Itaewon, close to the base, and it's like when an event came like this, we all went, and it was something I'll never forget, and that's why I feel so good to be here and to give back to the military.
On that point, the 2010s were the decade when MMA really did reach the mainstream sports landscape. Do you think the 2020s, looking ahead a decade now, big question really, but the 2020s is going to be where MMA really does become one of the major global sports on the sports landscape?
You know, I think that it's definitely possible, but I think it's already reached a certain plateau, if you know what I mean. Not plateau, but I mean, it's already reached a certain level of acceptance, right? Because when I first started in, you know, martial arts, there was no MMA, right? And so MMA comes in '93, and there was no TV deals for until 2003 or 4.
Yeah.
I think Fox was dabbling into it at the time, and then, you know, when we started Strikeforce, it wasn't until 2009, or actually, Pro Elite had CBS and Showtime, and then I think UFC was on Spike, and then before you know it, every network had it, right? Every network had it. And now we have a good relationship with DAZN. And streaming is going to be a part of the future, right? This is part of it, and so you're going to have to, you know, you have to look behind a paywall sometimes to watch it, just like with the UFC, it's like this, behind a paywall, and you know, but with that comes the ability to sign more free agents and grow the organization, expand to different territories, and so, you know, I think we had the best of both worlds. You know, we have a free TV play, and we have a great relationship with DAZN, and our big tournament fights are on DAZN right now. So it's been a win-win relationship. But as far as acceptance, I think it's already pretty accepted, you know, on a very high level in U.S. culture. But I think if you think about going into Asia, maybe it's not as big over there as it is in America. Yeah. It might take 5-10 years to become accepted. So we'll see. But we're going to definitely go out, and we're going to expand, and we're going to do our part.
Scott, when are you thinking for this Grand Prix for 2020? Are you going to run another one, you said?
Traditionally, we go in September for, you know, like the finals of the tournament, and then we launch the new tournament. And, you know, but depending on the landscape of how things end up with television and with the new changes and the merger, which, you know, I know a lot of people have asked me already, but it's really, if you look at the Viacom-CBS merger landscape, you know, they're just now determining, you know, who's going to take over, you know, legal, who's going to take over PR, who's going to take over marketing. And so there's a lot of things that they're working through, and then eventually, you know, we'll have our shot and sit down with them, and we'll figure out what's best for Bellator.
You feel like women at 125 is the most likely? That's what you said?
I like that division. I'm going to sit down and talk to my team, but I like it. I think it makes a lot of sense. I think there's some new stars to be built in that division.
Can I just ask as well?
UFC continuing with 125 with the men, is there any interest in you in that weight class?
Right now, no. I think we have a great roster. It's a manageable roster, and you know, I think that we you know, we'll start at 135.
And will that tournament be a DAZN deal tournament?
Well, right now our tournaments are on DAZN.
Yeah. So will the new one be? Well,
you're asking a lot of questions that I don't have answers for right now.
Okay.
You know, because again, it goes down to, you know, where is this product going to end up on the Viacom-CBS side, and if we stay with Paramount, you know, we are in the super fight business, but. You know, that's probably going to take 3-4 months to figure out, to be honest. And then so by that time, you know, we'll be well on our way for the featherweight tournament, which I'm excited about, the fight here this weekend. And, you know, that's going to be a scrap, man. Those guys are going to bring it. So, you know, we'll see in 3 or 4 months.
Can we just ask one question about AJ McKee? Obviously, he's got a win tomorrow night first, but it seems that of the whole roster, he could be the one guy who really could rise to the top of the pound for pound list. I mean, how impressed are you with this young man?
Yeah, and I told the story yesterday on the radio station, and basically, I saw Aaron. I saw Aaron, but I saw AJ at a fight in Orange County. It was his last amateur fight, and Rampage Jackson and his father Antonio were promoting it, and I said, this kid. I mean, he's obviously in good shape, good-looking kid, and then he finished it with a submission, and I think he submitted the guy, and I told his dad, I want to sign this kid. And so I put him in touch with Rich, and we made a deal. And, so this is somebody that we found from ground zero. And I think that, when you talk about star identification or guys that have, or girls that have potential, I think we do it extremely well. And we're very good brand builders in that, from there. And so now is his opportunity. He's got to win, This is his big shot. And at the end of the day, on a finals on DAZN, it's going to be $1 million prize money. So there's a lot of money at the end of the rainbow here.
Scott,
you lost Rory the other day, and I know you put out something on social media thanking him for his time here, and et cetera, wishing him luck. What sort of went wrong there? I mean, was it just a numbers game? He wanted more than you guys wanted to give?
You know what? I don't want to get into the negotiations with that. This is what I will say. Look, at the end of the day, we keep the fighters that we want to keep, right? And I think historically we've been successful in that. So if we want to keep you on the roster, we'll find a way. And, look, agents come into play, dollars come into play, and it's a value proposition at some point, right? And so to me, we just passed. We didn't, we just said, hey, we wish you luck, and it's like, I think that he's a great guy, and I don't ever want to say anything about Roy other than we had some great fights here together. He was a great partner, and now it's time for him to move on.
Was his time here a disappointment? I mean, can it be if you won a title? But I mean, he can't have stayed around as long as you guys maybe expected.
It's like, we had a certain amount of fights. He honored those fights. We honored what we said we were going to do. I have no bad feelings, and honestly, it's like, look, I wish him well because, I think that, it's going to be a rough road here too for him, So I wish him well. He's a great fighter, and he was here when we really needed to have free agents, and and in the very beginning of Bellator when I came on board, we needed to sign some guys, and he was willing to take the risk and come over, and so he'll always be a part of the history of Bellator. It's just time for him to fight somewhere else.
Liz Carmouche, you just signed her. How many fights would she have to win in order for her to fight for the belt after she just fought for UFC Gold?
I mean, to me, get 1 or 2 in, and if we don't have a tournament, then we'll probably give her a shot that time. And which has been very interesting because if Alima's still the champ, I asked her, you want to fight Alima? And she's like, yeah, I'll fight her. I go, does Lee want to fight you? She says, yeah, she'll do it. I'm like, geez, this is, maybe we'll do it here in Hawaii, who knows? So.
You also said, with the tryouts that happened not that long ago, depending on how the talent that you guys got performs this coming weekend, what are the chances of you guys coming back and actually having more open tryouts here again?
Yeah, listen, we found some really good talent at that tryout, and we're going to keep an eye on the gyms here and keep monitoring because there has been, I think, a good amount of guys that came that are fighting on this card, and one's fighting Claxton, which is no joke, and so Rich has a lot of confidence in this kid. So, to me, it's like, let's see what happens, and if they don't even have to win, just, hey, bring it. Show me you're going to bring it, and you'll have a home here.
Free agency has been a big initiative for you, but do you feel like the prospects that you brought up, the kids like AJ and the other ones, 2020 is kind of their year now, like they've had enough run, this is their year to make a break?
Yeah, I think that's fair, Josh. I think that when you think about well, for AJ specifically, yeah, I would say yes. And even for a kid like Aaron Pico, is he going to turn it around? And he's fighting in LA, and so is he going to turn it around and start heading towards a different path? I think for those guys, for sure. I think, for the, let's say, even the guys like Joey Davis or Phil Davis. I mean, Ed Ruth, right? Charles Fortune. These are guys, I'm telling you, are world beaters. And so it's just a matter of giving them enough talent, giving them enough fights to where they feel comfortable taking the next step. And so when they're ready and they take the next step, I'm telling you, you're going to see some amazing fights in Bellator with those guys.
Scott, you made it a point last year this wasn't going to be a one and done in Hawaiian soil. Now that this came to fruition for the second straight year, what's been the reception from not just fans but the entire Hawaii fight community?
People love it. It's like everybody. I think the community loves that we're here, that we're bringing world-class mixed martial arts to Hawaii, and this is something we'd love to do every year and build from here. I had somebody from Maui come over today and say, "Hey, why don't you come to Maui and throw a fight in Maui?" I said, "Listen, I would love to go to Oahu, Maui, Lanai, Kauai, Big Island. We'll just stay here for a month and do fights every weekend." But seriously, it's like people love it here. My staff loves it here, and it's something that we will be back. We already have a date for next year, so there we go.
Oh, really?
Scott, you brought up Aaron Pico. How difficult was it for you to leave him out of this featherweight Grand Prix? Basing it off how talented he is and what he has shown in the past. Obviously, his last couple fights haven't gone his way, but at least it's a fight. Everybody's got a puncher's chance, right?
Yeah, listen, Aaron is talented, and he's a young kid. Don't count him out. We still have a lot of faith in him and hope for him, and he's changed camps now to where he had a full camp to enter into the LA market. It's he's got to perform, right? But it's the very beginning we had high hopes, right? We're going to take it back a notch, maybe slow play this a little bit and see how far he can take it. But the kid can wrestle with anybody in the planet. And he can punch with anybody in the planet. It's just he's had some hiccups, and it's we're gonna see what he's made of on the 25th.
Is he on a new deal? Did he resign?
No, there was no deal. It's been the same deal.
Same deal.
Yeah.
Was he disappointed that he wasn't in the featherweight?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, you know what? No, because I'm going to take it from where he, had that tough fight, with Borix, and I'm going to put him in with Pitbull, or I'm going to put him with. We don't want that. That's not. So let him take a step back. Let him get comfortable again. Let him, restart his career. That's what we want to hope for.